Well, the guy on the right has had a lot to cheer about over the last handful of days with the Baltimore Orioles. The kids to the left, not so much for the Phils. They've lost 9 consecutive games. They're looking to end that losing streak here this afternoon as they wrap up their series with the Baltimore Orioles. Now, some news on the Phillies roster front. After last night's ball game, Jake Diekman was recalled from Lehigh Valley. Dustin McGowan was designated for assignment. And then about a half hour or so ago, we found out Cole Hamels will not start tomorrow. Philippe Almont will make his first major league start in a Phillies uniform tomorrow night against the Cards. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis. We'll talk about those roster moves a little later on in the telecast, but let's first concentrate on what's been a positive for the Phillies. In particular, last night, Jenmar Gomez, Elvis Araujo, and Ken Giles, those guys coming out of the bullpen have been a boost for the Phillies.
They have been great. Unfortunately, the starters have not gotten late into ball games, which means the bullpen has to pick up a lot of innings. These guys have been very, very good. I believe Elvis Araujo is starting to realize that he can pitch in the big leagues. Jenmar Gomez, despite having a rough start to the season, he has really, really picked it up. And Kenny Giles, I tell you what, last night, Tommy, was the best that I've seen him pitch all season. Got that velocity up to 99, and I like what I see out of him with his slider. But the key for me is Elvis Araujo. He's a big guy, he throws hard, and he's learning how to pitch.
Kenny Giles, 11 strikeouts in the last 6 2/3. Last 9 games for Araujo, 2 earned runs and 8 strikeouts. Combined, these guys, over the last 25 games, they've allowed 2 earned runs combined. Now that is a bright spot. The other bright spot for the Phils has been offensively. It's been Maikel Franco over at third base. We could probably talk about him during every open, the way he's played since being brought back up.
We really could, and he's made a believer in me. I didn't see it last year. I did not see it in spring training. I saw a guy that was getting literally the bat blown out of his hands. He's a lot more responsive this year in the big leagues, knowing that he's going to play every day. He's not putting undue pressure upon himself. The bat is flying through the zone and hitting all fields, and we know about his defense.
Well, his numbers during the month of June are outstanding. .356 batting average with 5 home runs and 10 RBIs, and he's reached base safely in 13 of the 15 games during the month of June. Let's hope it continues here this afternoon. He's back in the 3-hole for the Phils against the Baltimore Orioles. It's game 2 of this series. Sean O'Sullivan making his 10th start. Bud Norris, he's had a bout with bronchitis over the last month or so, but he's still making his 9th start of the season. 2-4 with an 8.29 ERA. You want to meet the 3rd major leaguer in the last 50 years to hit 3 home runs in his first 2 games with a franchise? It's Chris Parmelee. He'll be in the lineup when we return. Phillies baseball. The afternoon moves on. But it looks like the rain is out of the area, which is a good thing. The Phillies have just taken the field. Sean O'Sullivan getting ready to throw the first pitch of today's ball game. Well, today it's Breakfast on Broad Day here at Citizens Bank Park, and there's Barrett Brooks, part of the crew. Julian Mealy, Sarah Baker, Rob Ellis is there as well. There's Rob, and Rob's going to throw the first ceremonial first pitch out. Not bad, little two-seamer. And then Barrett Brooks is going to explode this baseball right past the Fanatic. He's a big man. We're going to be seeing the folks from the Breakfast on Broad crew throughout the afternoon, following the Fanatic around. The Fanatic was on their show yesterday, so he's decided to allow them to come be part of his show here this afternoon. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Orioles, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Leading it off at third base, Manny Machado, then Travis Snyder and Chris Parmelee. Chris Davis, the first baseman, bats cleanup. J.J. Hardy hits fifth. Ryan Flaherty will bat sixth. In the bottom third of Joseph, Lowe, and Bud Norris, and they will face right-hander Sean O'Sullivan, who's making his 10th start of the year. He's 1-5 with a 5.08 ERA. Well, Ben, at this point, it's nice to see the Phillies have a healthy starter out there today in Sean O'Sullivan.
It sure is, and after we found out that Cole Hamels is going to be missing a start tomorrow, got to make sure that Sean O'Sullivan gives some innings today. We'll sit about 90 miles an hour. Slider, splitter, change, curve, has really worked in his changeup a lot more, throwing it a little bit more effectively, and he's throwing it to righties a lot more, which I think is good. But against the Orioles, you can see he's 8-6-4 in 4 games against the O's.
And he's trying to minimize the damage against the left-handers. Left-handers are hitting .359 with 7 home runs against Sean O'Sullivan. All right, it's time now for our Nissan keys to this afternoon's ball game. What do you got there, Ben?
Well, I'm racking my brain in the office there, early and often. You know, they got some runs last night. It was a little bit too late, but they also have to get back to the fundamentals. You see errors that have really come back and hurt them. It's been their Achilles heel this year, and they need to get back to the fundamentals.
It's remarkable last night's ball game, the way things turned out. That error by Freddie Galvis, we knew it was big, but it turned out to be huge because of all the unearned runs that scored against Kevin Correa. So here's Manny Machado to lead things off. Machado 0 for 4 in last night's ball game with 3 groundouts. First pitch of the day is in there for a strike. We're underway. It's 0-1. Machado was 3 for 7 in the 2 games down in Baltimore, including a 2-home run ball game. Breaking ball outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sean O'Sullivan, despite the 77 miles an hour, that breaking ball is a slider. Fastball, and it's 1-2. Talking to Joe Angel, who does the radio for the Baltimore Orioles, he said, "Is he pitch backwards? Is he that kind of a guy?" I said, "No." I said, "He'll throw a lot of fastballs." And there's the third in the 4 pitches to Machado. It's 2-2. Manny Machado has faced Sean O'Sullivan one other time. He's 0 for 1 against him. Into right field. Dominic Brown heading back, and how about this? It's into the first row of seats. Another first-inning home run for the Orioles and for Machado. And it's 1-0 Baltimore. That is the 15th first-inning home run that the Phillies pitchers have allowed, and that ties them for the most in Major League Baseball with the Toronto Blue Jays.
It was loud coming off the bat. I didn't think it had the distance, but apparently it did. Goes out and gets this. After the 2 home runs that he hit in Baltimore, the Phillies have really made a concerted effort to stay away. Saw a lot of ground outs last night. He went out and got that one.
His 14th home run, his 8th home run as a leadoff hitter. He hasn't been in the leadoff spot the whole year. Here's Travis Snyder. Snyder hit a home run last night. He was 1 for 4. So 1-0 Baltimore here in the top of the first. Curve ball, and it's waved out. It's 0-2. You kind of hold out hope that maybe that ball was going to hit one of the top of that small fence above the scoreboard that Machado hit. Swing and a miss. 1 away. And Chris Parmelee's coming up. This was Snyder last night in his first home run. Or I should say his homer. was in the 5th inning. And now Chris Parmelee. Well, Parmelee's had a good couple of days for the Orioles. 3 home runs. He's hitting .556, so he has 3 home runs, 5 hits overall in 9 at bats. Inside 1-0. Said he's the 3rd major leaguer to have 3 home runs in his first 2 games for his new franchise. In the last 50 years, the other 2, one you'd expect, Fred McGriff.
Crime Dog.
Crime Dog. And the other one, I don't know if you played with this guy. You may have.
I did not.
Big Calvin Pickering.
He was a monster of a man.
He sure was. Foul ball. It's 1-2. The Colorado Rockies used to have an affiliate, a minor league affiliate in New Haven, Connecticut. And they played at Old Yale Field, which is the home of the Yale Bulldogs. But it was the minor league home for the Ravens. And they had a big old batter's eye in center field, and he hit one over that batter's eye. I think Babe Ruth was the only other guy that had done that. Carlos Ruiz got a piece of that foul ball. One ball, 2 strikes to Parmelee. Down and away, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
There's that changeup again. That's what he got Snyder out with, down and away. For him to be effective, that pitch has to have some movement. For the simple fact that it's not that drastic of a speed differential between his fastball and that changeup.
That's a broken bat. Maybe that's the bat he's hit all these home runs with. Well, here's the foul ball in Parmelee's the earlier portion of his at bat. The ball got a piece of Ruiz and then got a piece of Gary Cederstrom.
So I think the ball came back off of Gary and hit Chooch's hand.
So it hit him a second time?
I think so, because I didn't see anything initially. Looks like it just skimmed off his shin guard, hit Gary, and then maybe ricocheted back off of Chooch. Because that initial off his shin guard, he would not be affected by that.
Where's Kramer and Seinfeld when we need them? 2-2 pitch, up and away, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Chris Davis waits on deck. Changeup floats outside, ball 4. So a walk to Parmelee, and now Chris Davis is coming up. 16 walks now in 51 and 2/3 innings for Sean O'Sullivan. Buck Showalter waited a little bit of time before he put his lineup up today. Now, part of it is he wanted to make sure there were lefties in it against O'Sullivan, but he also wanted to counter the roster move that the Phillies had today, and that was putting Jake Diekman back on the roster, another lefty. Sometimes when teams only have one left-hander, it causes managers to put their lineup up a little differently. When they have 2 left-handers, they may want to split up the left-handers a little bit more.
Well, you definitely want to split them up, especially in the National League Park.
Correct.
Because that affects how you use your bullpen.
One ball, no strikes to Chris Davis. 0 for 4 last night.
He really has an uppercut, doesn't he? He just drops that back shoulder and wails.
Wonder how much that'll change as he gets older and his bat speed slows down. Balls and 1 strike to Chris Davis. Now he's behind Davis 3-1. J.J. Hardy is the on-deck batter. Everything's away to the left-handed hitters. And they could see that it's out of the strike zone once it leaves Sean's hand.
And it's starting out as a ball right out of his hand.
It may have been ball 4. It was close, but Davis fouls it away. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Young man made a nice catch up in the upper deck.
Very good.
There he is. Dad's just being silly.
Yes, he is.
Catch that foul ball, you get an usher to sit next to you the rest of the game. Move over, boys. Swing and a miss. He got him with an 88-mile-an-hour fastball. 2 strikeouts for O'Sullivan. And now he's got to go after J.J. Hardy.
High riding fastball. That's the exact reason that Parmelee was not running, because Chris Davis's tendency to strike out. Buck didn't want to run into a strike him out, throw him out.
J.J. Hardy's hit in 10 consecutive games, 2 for 4 with a run scored in last night's game. And he takes strike 1. It's 0-1.
Nice job by Sean to get back in that count and strike out Chris Davis, but you don't want to be living like that all day long.
That one's hit hard past the diving Franco down the left field line. On his way to third is Parmelee. He stopped for a moment. Ashe slipped, and moving up to second base is J.J. Hardy. So they're going to score that a double. I was kind of surprised Parmelee stopped.
I can't believe he stopped. And I can't believe they were going to give that a double. Parmelee was stopped at second base, which would mean, if Cody Ashe comes up with this, he went into a slide there, Tom. He went into a slide, and if he would have stopped, it would not have been a double.
I think they may have just changed it.
I think you're going to see an error on that play.
Well, we'll hold off. We'll see. Ryan Flaherty's now the batter. Flaherty chops one over to first. It's a foul ball, and it's 0-1. Well, for J.J. Hardy, it's an 11-game hitting streak. Over the screen, it's 0-2.
Whatever Hardy did, tell you what, he's done some damage since changing that stance.
Yeah, sometimes he may go back to his old stance, but you change it just to give yourself a different look. No balls, 2 strikes to Ryan Flaherty. Runners on second and third. 1 run is in on a home run by Manny Machado. Breaking ball. That's a good pitch. He gets him looking. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Sean O'Sullivan. But he still threw 25 pitches to get through the inning. Manny Machado's opposite field home run. It's his 3rd one of the series. Has given the Orioles a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 1st. Afternoon's ball game. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll be Revere, Utley, and Franco, followed by Ryan Howard, Dominic Brown, and Freddie Galvis. The bottom third of Cody Ashe in left field, Carlos Ruiz behind the plate, and Sean O'Sullivan on the mound. They will face veteran right-hander Bud Norris, 2-4, with an earned run average of 8.29. Ben, this is the guy who won 15 games last year. 8.29. He's fortunate his earned run average is only, or his win-loss record is only 2-4.
He's got about a month he had a really tough go of bronchitis. The last two outings have been very good. He's a power pitcher, will touch 95, but everything is hard that you see on him. Likes his fastball a lot. He's 1-3 career against the Titans with a 4.21, but his last couple outings have been good. The Phillies have to be ready to hit that heater.
Yeah, he was diagnosed with bronchitis on the 18th of May and then retroactively put on the disabled list on the 11th. He hadn't pitched since that time and came off the DL on the 1st of June. Dropped a little weight because of it. Ben Revere leads it off. Revere hitting .276. He's had a decent month of June. 7 multi-hit games during the month of June, including last night when he was 2 for 4 with a triple. And he loops one into center field, a base hit. So Revere continues to hit. And Chase Utley is coming up. Now, while Revere has had a good month of June, Utley has not had a good month of June. He's 7 for 46. He was 1 for 4 in yesterday's ball game.
And this is where they can get right back in this. Ben Revere with a good start. Single up the middle.
One ball and no strikes to Utley.
And that prevents the Orioles from going into that shift, which we discussed last night. Keeps that hole open between first and second.
A quick calling card. 16 stolen bases, by the way, for Revere. He's been caught 4 times. That one's back toward the middle. How about that? Hardy was going over to cover the bag with Revere going, and it turns out to be an easy double play. I mean, that's just bad luck right there.
And JJ did have Chase shaded a bit up the middle, but that ball would have made up because it was hit so hard. I mean, this just ends up being probably the easiest double play JJ Hardy's ever completed.
Look how surprised Ben Revere was when he got to the bag.
And Ben had a great jump too. He had a very good jump.
Michael Franco takes low and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Franco hitting .273, 7 home runs, 18 runs batted in. He showed you his numbers for the month of June. He's been excellent, hitting .356 during that time. And in the 15 games he's played here in June, he's had a base hit in 13 of them. Pulls off that breaking ball, 2-1.
You see that slider at 85. I said everything is hard, hard, hard. I liked facing guys like that because there wasn't a drastic difference, you know, in the speed.
That slider was up.
He got away with one there, Tom.
Sure did. .94-mile-an-hour fastball down and away, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
When Bud Norris came up with the Astros, I mean, he had just tons of potential. And I think the Astros really just kind of gave up on him. The walks were up. They'd had enough.
Yeah, I think command was the biggest issue.
3-2 slider. First inning, up 1-0.
That's not good, right?
Not unless you can command it. And you know you can command that pitch.
Well, there are his career numbers, 55 and 61, a former 6th-round pick of the Houston Astros. And he spent 5 years in the big leagues with the Astros, was 34 and 46 with an ERA of 4.33. Now, he walked 281 in 689 and 2/3 innings. That's a good amount of walks.
A lot of walks.
Since coming over to the Orioles, though, 21 and 15. His earned run average is higher, but 21 and 15 in 47 appearances. A little different offense.
A little bit.
Oh, 2 to Howard.
Walks are probably up because he makes moronic pitches like that one. If I'm throwing 95 and I have a 1-0 lead in the first inning,
you're throwing 95.
I'm throwing 95. Sorry.
Howard does have a home run against him, one of his 4 hits lifetime. Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Daniel Callahan of Ridley Park. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, then Daniel will win $100.
Good luck, Daniel.
Gave out some cash last night again. Freddie Galvis's 3-run home run. Out to left center field. Move it back on it is Snyder, and he'll make the catch. A sinking line drive, and the side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left over at first. We've played 1, on to the second. The Orioles on top, 1-0. Park when the Phillies take on the St. Louis Cardinals. Both teams will wear their retro 1960s era uniforms. All part of a 3-game series. We'll be turning back the clocks to late 60s. Vintage music, ballpark characters, retro-themed player headshots on Fanavision. Get your tickets by going to Phillies.com. Caleb Joseph leads it off and takes a strike. It's 0-1. We begin the top of the second. Joseph hitting .245 with 5 home runs. Swing and a miss. It's 0-2. Phillies are trying to stop a 9-game losing streak. During that time, the pitching staff has allowed 31 extra base hits and has an ERA of 5.38. Chopper to shortstop. Freddie Galvis is up with it. And one away here in the second. Phillies fans, next time you're looking for great seats, get to StubHub, where there are no surprise fees at checkout. That's right. On StubHub, the price you see is the price you pay. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of Phillies.com. Here's David Lowe, a .232 hitter with 3 home runs, 8 runs batted in, with 1 man down here in the top of the second. Lowe was 1 for 4 with a couple RBIs. Now Adam Jones, your buddy, is still battling a sore shoulder, and I don't know if it's the overall body soreness that he was dealing with the other day. I think it's just the sore shoulder that's keeping him out of the lineup again.
Well, when you have a core of outfielders that are swinging the bats the way the Orioles are, you can afford to keep him out of the lineup.
Well, we talked about the lefties and what they've done against O'Sullivan. They really have thrived. So now he's got all 3 lefties in the outfield. Inside, ball 4. So second walk issued by O'Sullivan. Last 13 games, the Orioles 11 wins. Phillies losing streak is at 9 games. Look at the runs the Orioles have scored during the 13 games in which they're 11-2. 24 home runs. Phillies during the 9-game losing streak have only 2, averaging just 2 runs per game. Bud Norris is the batter. He'll turn around to square. He's 0 for 2 this year.
We talked about Bud Norris being with the Astros. I cannot get my head around the fact that they're in the American League. I just can't tell myself. When you think of the Astros, I mean, they're in the National League since they're.
Well, he spent
in the league.
4 of his years with the Astros. They were a National
League.
That's why he had so many at bats. Once that one in the air, and it spins foul. Bud Norris is a lifetime 149 hitter with 5 doubles. Those are his extra base hits. Bunts at it and taps it foul. It's 0-2. I do believe he's a little frustrated with himself that he didn't get that bunt down. Franco's creeping into third, and Norris bunts it foul to the screen. 4 strikeouts for Sean O'Sullivan. And with 2 away, back to the top of the order for Manny Machado, who had a leadoff home run to start the game. His 14th home run of the year. It's the 3rd time he has belted a leadoff home run this season. The 2nd time he's done it against the Phils.
He gets this ball, and like I said, it sounded good, but I just still didn't think it had enough to carry out. Wind's really not affecting, I don't think, the flight of the ball today. Blowing a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Well, he's 9 away from the record of leadoff home runs in a season for the Orioles. Care to take a chance on who would have that?
Brady Anderson?
That would be correct.
Where's my...
It's not an official.
I know, but I still wanted to get one. Yay! How many Ricky Henderson have? 80-something?
80. The record, that's a great question. We had it for a while because Rollins used to hit them.
Yeah, but he wasn't even close to Ricky.
No, but he was climbing up the list. 81 leadoff home runs.
Huh. Rick. What a great teammate.
Out to center field. Then Revere on the run. He's going to get to the spot, make the catch. And the side is retired. No runs, no hits, one man left. We are through 1.5. On to the bottom of the second. Dominic Brown will lead it off when we return. Following Wednesday, July 1st game against the Brewers and Thursday, July 2nd game against the Milwaukee Brewers. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. It's always a great show. And this year, Ben Davis, the musical track is recorded by the Philadelphia Orchestra.
Get out.
Yeah. It's a little special boost here at Citizens Bank Park. Here's the bottom of the second. Dominic Brown leads it off, takes a fastball for strike one. Dominic is 2 for 12 since being brought up from AAA, hitting 167. Side 3-1 to Brown. All right, so he had a 3-1 count last night. And this is where he popped up to Flaherty, who's right now in shallow right field. Galvis is on deck, but a 3-1 count for somebody like Dominic Brown should put him in a good spot. Got to look for a certain spot to take his hacks.
See, I have no problem with that take right there.
Sure.
The other day we saw Ryan Howard get into, he had a 3-1 count. It's almost like he kind of swung out of just because it was a good count. Dominic Brown's not going to do anything with that pitch, so I don't mind that take.
Check swing. It's low. Ball 4. Second walk issued by Bud Norris. So the Phillies have a base runner.
I did that more than I like to remember. You know, you work yourself into a good count. Say, you know what? I'm going to swing. I have to swing. He's going to lay one in there. These are big league pitchers. They're just not going to throw one down the middle and groove it for you.
It'd be nice if they did.
Yeah, it would.
So Freddie Galvis, who had a 3-run home run last night, has 4 hits in the last 2 games. Overall was 2 for 4 in yesterday's ball game, and he hits that one off the end of the bat to right field. Parmalee is there to make the one-handed catch, and 1 away.
I think that's a pitch right there. Freddie doesn't try and pull. Might be able to lace that one in the right center gap or left center gap. And it came off a little bit and flew out to right. So you look at the glove right there. That ball is outside corner. And you just can't pull it.
So now Cody Ashley will be the batter. Throw over to first base.
Changed that shift up, didn't they, Tom, after the bunt last night?
Just a little bit. They've moved the third baseman Machado over and in a little bit. Even if he bunts now, though, I don't think Machado will get him.
Yeah.
If he bunts toward the same spot. Brown is back ahead of the tag.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we saw Machado pretty much at shortstop last night on these shifts. No longer in that spot now. You can see him right here. Before he was well towards shortstop.
Off the end of the bat, he just spun it right toward him. There's 1 and 2. 5-4-3. Actually 5-6-3 double play. It was Hardy who got the ball at second base. No runs, no hits, and nobody left. 2 in the books. We'll go to the third. Travis Snider leads it off. On the Phillies.com, go to the fans section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Ben, what current Phillies coach served as Orioles interim manager in 2010? Man, the pickings are easy today. Answer will be revealed a little later on. I'm not even going to give you a clue for that one.
Is it one of my favorite Phillies of all time?
One of your favorite Phillies of all time. And that's all I'm going to say. Travis Snider leads it off. He struck out his first time up, so he's 0 for 1. The only run today, a home run by Manny Machado, an opposite field shot. 82 home runs now for the Orioles, which is 3rd most in the American League. Popped up foul out of play. I feel like we've been talking about these numbers over and over and over again, but they are worth noting. Phillies starting pitchers have not earned a win since the 23rd of May. That was Cole Hamels' victory over the Nationals. That's 22 games. They're 0-14 with an ERA of 5.89 during that stretch. I mean, law of averages dictate that they have to get a win at some point, right?
You would think. No other rotation has fewer than 5 wins in that span.
Inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. One ball, 2 strikes. Inside, 2-2. Sullivan trying to put away the hitter here. He has 4 strikeouts. Foul ball down the left field line and over the tarp. Remains 2-2.
This group of hitters as a whole, though, the pitch before that was a fastball in at 91. And Snyder just took it, didn't budge, didn't flinch. They're just very comfortable in the bat. They're all seeing the ball very well.
Another one fouled away. It remains 2-2.
And I know as a hitter, when I was going well, and again, I wasn't the best offensive player, but when I was going through a good streak, it just seemed like the better I took a pitch, I know this sounds funny, but the better I took a pitch, the softer my front foot was, the longer I saw the ball. And it was such an easier approach to hitting.
Swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts for O'Sullivan. All right, so O'Sullivan has 7 outs recorded. 5 are strikeouts.
There's that changeup. Down in the zone. Actually, that may have been a split. Looking by the rotation on that, that could have been a splitter.
Here's Chris Parmelee. Parmelee walked his first time up. Outside and high, 1-0. Sean O'Sullivan's career high in strikeouts is 6. He's done that twice. The last time was in 2011, April of 2011. Fly ball left field. And Cody Ashe puts it away for the second out. 2 away here in the third.
Good location again on that pitch. Down and away. Just not a whole lot you can do with that as a hitter.
Oh, now Chris Davis is coming up. Davis struck out his first time up. Speed pitch, and that misses outside. 2-0.
Phillies must think that the Orioles hitters are getting signs or something along those lines. You see Chooch going through a litany of touches: kneecap, chest protector, face mask, as opposed to the generic 1, 2, 3, 4 with your fingers.
That one is a mile high and a long run for Ashe. He gets there, makes the catch, side, he's retired. A 1-2-3 third inning for Sean O'Sullivan. He's retired 5 straight. We'll move to the bottom of the third inning here in South Philly. Where health is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. By Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. And by the Pennsylvania Lottery. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day. On to the bottom of the third inning. 1-0. Orioles on top. Orioles 1 run came on a home run, an opposite field home run by Manny Machado. That must be a great feeling, though. You're a leadoff hitter, and you're able to pop one out of the yard on your first at bat.
Day's set.
Your day is set.
Yeah, but how about him the other night? His first 2 at bats.
Well, that's even better. Here's Carlos, and speaking of home runs, Carlos has now gone 226 plate appearances without a home run. That dates back to last year. There was one point last homestand where he had a ball out to the fence in left center field, and his reaction when it was
Chapman.
Caught, right off Chapman.
Yep.
And his reaction after it was caught, he knows. I mean, he's gone this whole year without a homer, and it's been since September of last year that he last hit a home run. 0-2 pitch, way upstairs, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's easier said than done, but I'd like to see Chooch loosen up that grip a little bit. It looks like he's just trying to squeeze the sawdust out of that bat. You're not going well. You want to try and do it.
Line drive back toward the middle. A base hit for Carlos. So the Phillies have the leadoff batter aboard for the 3rd straight inning. And it means O'Sullivan is coming up with a chance to maybe bunt Ruiz up into scoring position. Caleb Joseph laying down the signs. Man, you catchers have to remember a lot of signs. Usually it's the third baseman that gives the signs of what the infield setup is. And he bunts it toward first. It's a dandy. Norris will track it down. Sacrifice is successful.
Nicely done. Tell you what, with Manny Machado breathing down O'Sullivan's neck, if you'd have bunted that to third, that's an easy double play. Sean O'Sullivan did a very good job of getting that bunt down the first base side, angling his bat in such a way. I mean, Machado was, I don't know, maybe 30 feet from him, Tom?
Yeah, and he was closing. So a runner in scoring position, and that'll bring Ben Revere to the plate. He singled his first time up. Outside corner, it's 0-1. Mentioned how good Ben has been here in the month of June. He's hitting .339, 5 extra base hits, but .339 average here in June. Way inside, and it evens up the count.
Anxious to see if Ben does get a hit here, what he does with Chooch. Pete Buchanan at third base. Chooch obviously doesn't run really well, but when you have a team that's struggling offensively, sometimes you have to take those chances. You know, put that pressure on the defense to make a play.
Orioles as a team have 21 outfield assists, which is tops in the American League. But guys that have a majority of them are not in the outfield lineup right now. Travis Snyder has 5. That one is hit the opposite way. Machado's got it. Chases Ruiz back to second. Throws out Revere.
Well, you're going to have a lot of assists in that ballpark because the fences are so short. Right field is 319 the right field line. You know, it says 373 or whatever it is to the gap, or 363 to the gap in left center at Camden Yards. I don't think that's any more than 330, to be honest with you. So you're going to get a lot of assists. I'm telling you, Tom.
Well, with that ground out to third, Phillies are now 3 for their last 45 with runners in scoring position. Ball, no strikes to Utley. Jays takes a breaking ball, and it's 1-1. Phillies will still have interleague games next week. They'll be in New York to take on the Yankees. Later on this year, they'll be at Fenway Park. They have 2 against the Blue Jays in Toronto, and 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays here in Philadelphia. The Rays they're no slouch this year. Shocking how they're able to continue to turn over their roster and still be effective. Turn over their roster, turn over their coaching staff, turn over their front office. 1-2 pitch to Utley. And he slaps it the other way. It is foul.
Chase changing everything up. Got some gold spikes on there, Tom. He's an Adidas guy. Usually with the white stripes, the 3 white stripes. These are gold. I noticed that from the booth here.
You got good eyes.
I tell you.
Popped it up. Ryan Flaherty had his hand up for a long time. Just somebody didn't realize that he had it. But he makes the catch. Side is retired. No runs, 1 hit. And 1 man left in scoring position. Breakfast on Broad. Sarah Baker's in the middle, Julian Milley to your left, and Rob Ellis is in a mix of kids. And the Fanatic are following the Fanatic and the Galapagos gang around here at Citizens Bank Park. They'll be around most of the day. And there they are. I don't know where Barrett is. We're not sure where he is, but we don't think that Iggy ate him because Iggy's not that big. But Barrett's somewhere around the ballpark. Selfie that Julian's taken. We go to the top of the 4th inning. J.J. Hardy will lead it off for the Orioles. Hardy doubled his last time up. And it's 0-1.
Probably got a headache bouncing on their head like that, huh, Tom?
I think you can do that all the time. You can do it all day. Iguanas are known to be able to bounce in their head like that, man.
Did not know that.
Yeah. 0-2 to J.J. Hardy. Hardy's hit in 11 consecutive games thanks to that double. Fly ball, right center field. Ben Revere will glide under it. And 1 away. So 6 in a row retired by O'Sullivan. He has 6 0-2 counts today. Part of the reason why he has 5 strikeouts. He's also had some other counts where he's been 1-2 where he then falls behind the hitter. But he's starting to put guys away, which is a good sign.
Well, he's working down, which is always good.
Check swing, 1 hopper under the glove of Maikel Franco. And Flaherty's aboard. We'll see how they score that.
Base hit.
And they've scored it a base hit. Caleb Joseph's coming up. Let's check in with Murph. Murph?
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. You know, you watch this Orioles team play over the last 4 days, and you realize it's a very good team in the American League East. They've won 9 out of their last 10. And one of the indications of whether a team is playing well over the course of a season is, of course, run differential, the difference between how many they score and how many they let up. Take a look at the Orioles. They are tied for 6th in all of baseball that are at plus 38. How about this? The Blue Jays are #1 at a plus 77 so far. And you see the Phillies at a negative 114. That is dead last in baseball. The next closest to the Phillies are the Milwaukee Brewers. They are at minus 80. So it's a very good indication. Obviously, you got to score runs to win games. You got to prevent them on the other side. And the Orioles have done a very good job, especially of late when they've really turned things around in the last month of doing just that.
Boy, those numbers, particularly the American League numbers, are remarkable.
Yeah. Well, you know, Tom, but the Cardinals are in second.
Well, that's true.
It doesn't get any easier for the Phils. They welcome the Cardinals in this weekend. The Cardinals are at a plus 68 right now as a National League team. That's pretty remarkable.
Well, it sells a lot of the story about the lack of offense that the Phillies have put together here in 2015 and the number of runs that they've allowed. 2 balls, no strikes to Caleb Joseph. And he pops it straight up. Ruiz off at the mask. Franco's coming down. He says he has it. He had it. 2 outs.
May have gone above the light standards.
It was pretty high.
I'd be yelling on that one. Big Rude! John Olerud. He knew to come down and pick me up. I did not like those. We practiced them in spring training on a machine, and they would still come back like they do in a regular ball game. No problem. I don't know. It's just in the game it was different, especially later on in my career. I just did not like them.
What if coaches? Were there any coaches that could really pop them up for you?
Yeah, there were a few. Also had a few blow their backs out trying to hit some pop-ups.
David Lowe walked his only time up. He'll be the batter. Breaking ball, and it's 0-1.
And Julio Moscara. He was in camp with us in Seattle. We were doing pop-up drills, and he just clanked one or went right off, knocked all his front teeth out.
Oh,
yeah, blood everywhere.
He was due to get them fixed anyway.
You're mean.
0-1 to Lowe. I asked that about coaches because, you know, when you're growing up and you have your coaches trying to hit pop, a lot of times they'll throw it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to do. It's hard to hit a ball straight up.
One coach, Don Werner, is still with the Orioles, as a matter of fact. He would hit tennis balls and racket balls with a tennis racket.
Right.
And you catch it barehanded. That was always a fun drill. Talking about catching one barehanded. Going in hot.
That young lady says she's okay. I'm okay, everybody. Nothing to see here.
What a sport.
Really.
Very nice of the Phillies fans to give her a round of applause.
I think they may have given her the baseball because it didn't stay in her lap. 0-2 pitch. Low. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's because it went through her.
The kid behind her is very thankful that she took the brunt of it. Curveball swung on it, missed. 6 strikeouts for Sean O'Sullivan. That ties his career high. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th in search of a little offense. Dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com today. Buy WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. And buy the Quality Plus Sports Stores. Go further. Bottom half of the fourth inning. It's 1-0 Orioles on top. See, the gentleman there is going over bongo cam. Gentleman right there with the Orioles pullover on and the B on his hat. He was just going over bongo cam with the youngster. I have to be fully instructed on everything going on at the ballpark.
Right. That's understandable.
Maikel Franco waves at the first pitch breaking ball. Last year when we were out in the crowd, they put us on bongo cam.
Yes. And
you're supposed to not, hit the person in front of you or hit anything. It's an imaginary bongo cam. Well, I was banging top of Matt's head as if it was an actual bongo.
It's not very nice.
No, it wasn't. There's a ground out to short, one away. And Ryan Howard is coming up. Ryan Howard lined out to left center field his first time up. Outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Bud Norris did not like the feel of that baseball. Outside, 2-0. Rocketed into right field. Coming up with it is Parmalee, and he thought about going to first. But Ryan Howard is safe for 1-out single. Dominic Brown is coming up. Well, our good friends at Hers have dropped off some Hers kettle chips with Old Bay seasoning. No other chip in the country has Old Bay seasoning to them.
Useful.
We also have cheese curls as well. And these are available, obviously, if you've been out to the stores, you know all the variety of foods that Hers offers.
Pardon the crunch.
But the chips and the cheese curls with Old Bay seasoning are available just in time for the summer.
Delightful.
Now, you eat these often. You said they're great with a hoagie, right?
Very good with Italian hoagie.
Uh-huh.
These are outstanding.
They are very good.
And I have the kettle cooked.
That's what I have.
Aren't they delightful?
I had the cheese curls earlier today.
And?
They're very good.
You like the chips better?
I do like the chips better. But I think my kids would like the cheese curls. Murph, cheese curls or chips?
I say cheese curls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, go get your own.
I did last night.
Yeah, you did. Well, they're very good, and we appreciate them dropping some off for us. And obviously, you can get them at your local purveyor. Fly ball to right center field off the bat of Dominic Brown. And there are 2 outs. And that'll bring Freddie Galveston.
I have Old Bay on my scorecard.
Yep.
Well worth it, though. Every time Bud Norris gets an out, he throws the ball away.
Maybe it's a commemorative ball. He wants to get it authenticated. There's a note from Ed on the back of these packages. It said, more than 30 years we've been seasoning our fresh cut potato chips. And for over half a century, the savory seafood seasoning of Old Bay has been a favorite from coast to coast.
Huh.
And now we've combined that authentic Old Bay seasoning with the crunchy goodness of our slow kettle chips.
Yours says that?
Yeah.
Mine says, Ben, you eat way too many of these.
Galva's fly to right, so he's 0 for 1. At the knees, 1 ball, 1 strike to him.
In football season, you always drive in towards the stadiums down here, you see Ed Hurd, Mike Quick up on the billboard.
Yep.
Did you ever do the tour?
No, I never did the tour.
It's outstanding.
You get free chips?
You do. You do a great job with it. Even fun for the kids.
Swing and a miss, 2-2. Freddie a little out front on his front foot on that one. Trying to keep it going. His average at 262. I mentioned 4 hits in his last 2 days. There's something that they've tried to work with Bud Norris's mechanics to try to get him in the strike zone a little bit more. It does look like he just flies open a lot of times when he's delivering that fastball. Runner goes with the count 3-2, and it's pulled foul by Galvis.
You talk about the stuff. Sometimes it may be just a different pitching coach that gets you in the right frame of mind. Could be the smallest little tweak to get you back to where you need to be.
There's Dave Wallace, the pitching coach for the Orioles. Howard goes again, and a high slider swung on and missed, and the side is retired. First strikeout for Bud Norris. We've completed 4 innings. We'll go to the 5th. The Orioles still hanging on to a 1-0 lead. All right, Ben, here we go. What current Phillies coach served as Orioles interim manager in 2010?
Watch Sammy run. Juan Samuel.
Juan Samuel is correct. 17-34 after replacing Dave Tremley. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack.
There he is. Man, it's in better shape than 99% of the people in the world.
He is in incredible shape.
Jeez.
But Norris takes outside. It's now 2 balls and no strikes. Fly ball, left center field, pretty well hit. Ashe on the run, sprinting back. He gets there and makes the catch. And one out here in the 5th inning. It's the first time I think we've seen Cody have to go back like that to make a grab.
Not expecting that one off the bat of a pitcher. That's for sure. Wasn't really expecting him to swing either. 2-0. Cody gets a very good quick first step on that one. The ball did kind of die.
Oh, nice job by Cody with one out. Here's Manny Machado. Old base seasoning's got a little kick to it. They have it with popcorn as well. They have the chips, the curls, and popcorn.
I'm just throwing this out there. My favorite sunflower seeds are ranch.
Right.
Why not do an Old Bay sunflower seed? I think that would be good.
It's a lot of salt, Ben. Breaking ball, 1-1. Why don't you get together with Ed and see if you can get something going? He probably knows some people.
Just a couple.
Machado homered the opposite way his first time up. Odd to have a cross up with nobody on, right? Oh yeah, he was looking for something.
It's a strike too.
Yeah. Called the ball, but it was a strike.
And they're using these touches. They're not using the putting fingers down. They're going through a series of touches. I guess one of them forgot what they touched.
Bunt toward third. Charging is Franco. Bare hands and throws, and Howard's able to knock it down. The throw was wide. That'll be a base hit for Machado. So a bunt single and a one-out base runner.
He really got down the line because this ball was bunted pretty hard and Michael was in. I think with a good throw, though, he is out.
I would agree.
So it would have been close. Good backup by Chase there. Kids at home always be backing up somewhere. You know, Ryan did the right thing in coming off the bag there. A lot of first basemen, they'll stay on the bag and try and reach for ball. If you don't think you can get it, come off the bag and go get the baseball. That avoids overthrows, balls that go in the stands. Sometimes you just have to vacate the bag and go get the ball. Flinch there, Tom.
Manny Machado has stolen 9 bases this year. He's been caught 1 time. He's 9 for 10.
This is where your first baseman has to be very vocal with a lefty in the box to help out his catcher.
Bit outside. 1 ball, no strikes to Travis Snyder.
As a catcher, you get blocked out, so you'll hear the first baseman yell, "Runner!"
Runner goes, pitches low, throw to second base by Ruiz on 1 hop, and he is safe at second base. So 10 stolen bases now for Machado. He's in scoring position. It's 2 balls and 1 strike to Travis Snyder.
He does get a good jump here. Chooch has to pick that one out of the dirt, as does Freddie on the exchange from Chooch. And Chooch has had a tough time throwing the baseball this year. I know a lot of the pitchers haven't given him a ton of time, but I'd like to see him maybe not be as quick with his feet, but maybe get a little more arc in his arm and get a little more carry on that baseball. He's short hopped second base quite a few times this year.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Is that something that as you get older you have to do? You have to compensate a little bit as a catcher?
You do. You know, shorter guys, they have an advantage in the fact it doesn't take them as long to get to their feet. And that's what made Pudge Rodriguez so good. Pudge was only about 5'9". Yes, he had an absolute howitzer behind the plate, but he got to his feet so quickly. That's a lethal combination. Some guys have quick feet, not as good as arm, but my feet were a little slower. But I could make it up, I thought, with my arm strength, because, you know, 6'5" clearing a 6'5" frame is not as easy as clearing a 5'8" frame.
The ball got a piece of Gary Cedarstrom, the home plate umpire. Right in the shoulder.
I miss the big pads he used to wear. Those things are awesome.
When did you ever play in a game where there was a big pads? Little League or something?
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Snyder.
The umps used to hold them.
Oh, yeah. Curveball waved at. That's a career high strikeout, number 7 for Sean O'Sullivan.
Got a big bender today. Big bender.
Playing fantasy baseball, MLB.tv serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players, live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Get MLB.tv today. Matt's been all over the ballpark today. Just stay out of his way. He might run you over. Chris Parmelee, 0 for 1. Parmelee walked his first time up. Where Matt is right now, where he's standing, those seats right there, those are some of the best seats in the house, you know, hanging over the bullpen, right over the need help sign. That one's popped up, foul territory. Franco will give it a peek. It's out of play. There's the vantage point we're talking about, where you see inside the bullpen.
Yeah. Very good view.
Yeah, you're not impeded by anything.
No. Amazing how many folks were out in Ashburn Alley last night. The outfield stands are crowded. The alley was mobbed.
Yeah, 26,000 last night here at Citizens Bank Park. Despite the team's struggles.
Beautiful night last night. I like the last couple of days we haven't had to sweat.
Well, today we don't have to sweat at all. You're right.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore, it was hot.
After a quick meeting between Ruiz and O'Sullivan, they're ready to go again. 1 ball and 1 strike to Parmelee. Out to center field. It's pretty well hit. Revere has some room. A few steps from the track, makes the catch. Side is retired. No runs, 1 hit. 1 man left in scoring position. Not a whole lot of offense for either team here today, but the Orioles lead it 1-0. of the game.
Chase Utley with a scud up the middle. J.J. Hardy being in the right spot at the right time. Ball definitely would have gotten up the middle. Benner stealing on the play. Doesn't matter. I mean, this ball is so close to hitting the bag at second base. And that is the easiest 6-3 double play J.J. Hardy has completed. And that is your GMC precision play of the game.
The shock on the body language of Ben Revere when he went out to second base, because his head was down. He was going. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning. Hardy will settle back in at shortstop. Cody Ashe, who grounded into a double play, his only time up, will bat against Bud Norris, who's allowed 3 hits today. Only 7 hits combined between the two teams. First pitch is a breaking ball, and it's 0-1. One's pulled. It's a fair ball. Nice play by Chris Davis. Flips underhand, 1 away. Well, they were shading him that way, and Davis was toward the line. And 1 gone for Carlos Ruiz.
Thought this ball had a chance to hit the bag there for a second. It looked like it did kind of kick up there. Didn't hit it flush enough to redirect the baseball. Defeating feeling. You hit a ball. You hit it well, you know it's going to get caught. He's impressed me at first base, though. He's made a couple good throws. You know, bouncing off the bag with the man on first. Good, crisp throws to second base.
Carlos singled his first time up, takes a strike at the knees. It's 0-1. Bud Norris made his major league debut in July of 2009. He actually replaced Roy Oswalt in the rotation for the Astros, and eventually made his major league debut. There's a breaking ball, and he gets Ruiz looking. 2 outs. And he worked out of the bullpen, and then in August of his first year, he took a no-hitter into the 6th inning against the St. Louis Cardinals. He wound up pitching 7. He got the win for his first victory. That's a heck of a breaking ball right there.
It sure is. 3 pitches. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Huge there.
I wonder if something's wrong with O'Sullivan. I mean, because this is only 5 innings and he's been lifted from the game. Jake Diekman, who was just called up. Got to be something wrong with them, I would think. I mean, I know there's no offense here today, but there's 2 outs.
Yeah.
He only threw 80 pitches.
Doesn't look too happy about it.
One ball, 1 strike. We'll wait and see if something pops up. They say that there's some reason. Looks like he's fine. One ball, 2 strikes. And 2 balls and 2 strikes. To be honest with you, I had to do a double take looking to see if I missed an inning or something. If we were really in the bottom of the 6th and not the bottom of the 5th. And he looks fine.
Really impressed with that breaking ball.
Odubel overall hitting .250, 2 home runs, 17 runs batted in. Out to right field, and it's right at Parmalee, so he'll corral it for the last out. Phillies go down in order in their half of the fifth inning. We played 5 here at Citizens Bank Park. It's 1-0. Orioles on top. We'll be back right after this. With the big club and make it a case for why he belongs. Michael has been hot at the corner with his glove since his return and has defended the left side of the infield with his strong arm. At the plate, he has got into the swing of things in a hurry, and his power has definitely been on display, depositing 4 home runs, 8 extra base hits, and 8 RBIs in the first week of June alone. Franco's contributions are indeed welcomed and are brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, the Galapagos gang is around with the fanatic who was playing the piano, and then the imposter umpire decided that he wanted to get a chance at the Ivories, and then Iggy had nothing. He wanted nothing to do with it, and that was it for the umpire, the imposter umpire, that is. He gone. Well, Jake Diekman is back in the big leagues. Diekman pitched in 6 ball games, 7 innings down in AAA. And he's back for his 26th big league game. First pitch to Chris Davis is fouled away. It's 0-1. Jake only walked 1 batter while down in the minor leagues. I think he just needed to clear the slate and get a fresh start. His stuff hasn't changed. It really hasn't. His fastball is still the velocity it was last year. No balls, 2 strikes. Outside, 1-2.
Sometimes what's between your ears just blocks everything you're trying to accomplish.
And it can happen to anybody.
Yes, it can.
Broke his bat. Fly ball shallow right center field. Brown comes sprinting in. And he makes the catch for the first out. And J.J. Hardy's coming up. Well, Murphy, you had a chance to talk to Jake today. He got to the ballpark while the team had already arrived. What did he have to say about his return and what he got out of going to AAA?
You know, it was really what you guys were just talking about. I saw Jake about maybe 20 minutes before first pitch today, and I got a chance to talk with him in the dugout for a couple of minutes. And I said, "What, where are you at? How do you feel right now?" And he said, "I feel great." He said, I needed to go down there. I said, well, was it mechanical? Was it mental? He said, honestly, a little bit of both, maybe a little bit more mental, as Ben just pointed out. He said, I just needed to get my thoughts right. I needed to remember that I have that major league stuff, and I need to use it. I need to pitch aggressively. I need to go about my business and kind of own it out there. And, when in talking with him, I've talked with him before where you get the sense that, he doesn't always believe what he's saying. He absolutely was believing what he was saying. He said his time down there was, as calm and as relaxing as he has been playing the game of baseball in a long time. And he said, and now I'm going to bring that back up here. He said, that's the mentality I'm going to have. It's the one I have to have. And he said, that's what's going to make me successful up here. So it sounds like it was a good experience. No one wants to get sent down, and no one wants to be told that they're headed down to AAA. But for Jake, in retrospect, I think he thinks it was a great move for himself.
Well, it's good. I mean, hopefully he can thrive off what he accomplished down there. It was, like we said, it was a very short period of time. The Phillies did need to get another lefty up here. Araujo was, the only guy that they were using against left-handers. There's a fastball at the knees at 96, 0-1.
And with Araujo, we haven't really seen him. His time here has been limited, so we don't know if he's a guy that can get righties and lefties out. We know Jake can get righties and lefties out. 100 strikeouts out of the bullpen last year, phenomenal. Because he does have 2 pitches. 2 strikeout pitches, I should say. It also helps, too, when you go down, you realize how awful it is. How you never want to do it ever again. That'll make you a little bit more hungry to stay here and thrive here.
But he's got the count ahead. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Flaherty. With 2 men down here in the top of the 6th. Try to go with the slider, and it's 2-2.
And I honestly believe you could have the stuff and make the pitch, but if you don't think it is, I'm telling you, the guy gets a hit. I mean, there's guys with plenty left stuff that out there, like a Mark Burley, that believe in everything they do, and they have that success because they believe they're going to have success.
That one just missed at 98 miles an hour from Diekman. And it's 3-2. Caleb Joseph is on deck. The other part of it, too, is that Diekman never got into the same rhythm he got into last year. And for, one reason or another, I mean, the Phillies weren't winning games, obviously. But he worked a lot last year. Three-two pitch. Ground ball to shortstop. Galvis quickly over to first. Dug out by Howard, and the side is retired in order. So a nice return for Jake Diekman as the Orioles go down 1-2-3. We move to the bottom of the 6th inning. Again, the O's a first inning home run. That's all the scoring. McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry for just $2.50. McDonald's, I'm loving it. and by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Well, Center City a little foggy right now. It's cleared up down here in South Philadelphia. Orioles lead at 1-0. Joining a day game here in Philadelphia. And it'll be Ben Revere, Chase Utley, and Maikel Franco to lead things off. Luis Garcia warming up in the pen. Well, it had to be the only reason they pinch hit for him is because they wanted to get a bat in there down 1-0. There's a strike. It's 0-1. Pinch hit for O'Sullivan, that is.
I'd take my chances if there was a runner on base, runner in scoring position with 2 outs. But with nobody on, 80 pitches.
Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, plus you have Philippe Almont coming up tomorrow to pitch. Nothing against Philippe, but I don't think anybody knows what to expect. And then Sunday, you're going to have probably a spot starter or a guy from the minor leagues.
I'm sure they have their reasons. I'd like to see him stay out there.
1 ball, 1 strike to Revere. Off the plate. Hardy charges. It's going to be a tough play, and Revere is safe at first base. Infield hit. And that's his second hit of the game. It's his 8th multi-hit game this month.
Gets out of the box very well. And you can clearly see he beats that. Runs through the bag. He gets his hits. Sometimes they're not pretty, but he gets his hits.
Utley is 0 for 2. He's hit into a double play. He's also popped out to second. 3 for his last 31. And a quick throw over to first, and Revere is back diving.
When Chase Utley hit in that double play in the first inning, Ben Revere was running on the play, and he had a great jump. So if he can get that same kind of jump, don't see any reason why he wouldn't take off again.
Utley pulls it into right field. Coming on is Parmalee. He makes the catch. His throw to first is not in time. Second base umpire Lance Barksdale came over on the rotation to keep an eye and see what happened on the throw. Well, Chase hit it right on the nose. Revere obviously thought there was a chance that was going to drop. He gets back just in time.
It's a good play all the way around. Unfortunately, it's not a hit for Chase, but Parmalee gets that ball, comes up firing, and Ben with an alert play to get back to first base. See, when you watch these plays live, they look so much closer than when you watch the replay.
Yeah,
I thought that was way closer than that.
I did too. Maikel Franco walked and grounded out to short. So he's 0 for 1. There goes Revere. Pitches outside. The throw to second by Joseph is not in time. I thought Flaherty had blocked the bag and blocked him off the bag. He's looking into the dugout right now. And then I thought Revere may have slid off the bag. Look how he's blocking the bag. That's what Chase Utley normally does. And Ben's got his hand right underneath the leg. And he hangs on, and truly hangs on by the fingertips. So there he's cleanly in. He's kind of nudging him off right there with his leg.
You try and anchor yourself onto that bag with your left foot.
So 17 stolen bases for Revere. He's in scoring position. Phil's 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position today. Not a lot of opportunities. And Franco can't hold up on a breaking ball. It doesn't matter. It's called a strike anyway. 1-2.
Franco having a tough time picking up the rotation on this slider. Second at bat, he went up there. His first swing, it was a check swing. You could obviously see he's not picking that up.
That one's back toward the middle. Hardy to his left. He's got it. And they throw out Franco. Over to third goes Revere. The first time today the Phillies have had a runner over at third. But there are 2 outs. Pulling a doubleheader at the office. Look no further than W.B. Mason's wide selection of Green Mountain Coffee K-Cup pods to keep you running. Order by 11:30 and get free same-day delivery. Who but W.B. Mason? Ryan Howard is 1 for 2. He lined out to left, singled his last time. Revere, a huge walking lead off third. Ryan has shuffled with his average in the month of June. 5 extra base hits. He's got Revere leading off in foul territory with plenty of room to roam over at third base. Breaking ball, 1-2. Ground ball foul. Come on, Murph, make an effort. Get that uniform dirty down there, buddy. Nice catch, Murph.
Got to make an effort, Tom.
I think you should have climbed out on the field. As long as you kept your feet in the well, you would have been fine. You weren't actually on the playing field. In the air to right field. That's a bullet. It is gone! 2-run home run for Ryan Howard. And the Phillies have taken the lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Peace! Yaka! That was a C, Tom.
12 home runs, 30 RBIs. Daniel Callahan at Ridley Park, you just won $100 thanks to Ryan Howard and the McDonald's home run jackpot. Boy, he threw that one right in his wheelhouse.
He sure did. And Ryan stays through it. And that ball is coming in those stands hot. Good for Ryan. A couple knocks today. Big one there to put the good guys up. 2-1.
So the Phillies have the lead here in the 6th inning. Dominic Brown, the batter, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Dominic has walked. He's also flied to right. Phillies Phillies try to end this 9-game losing streak in which they had only 2 home runs before that one by Howard. First home run of the month for Howard. And here's the 1-2 pitch to Dominic Brown.
Well, you like to see them score, obviously, with runners in scoring position, but you also like to see them do it with 2 outs.
You saw his numbers with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, less than 200. But that's a pretty good jolt right there. Shallow center field, coming in is low. He's under it, and the side is retired. But the Phillies take the lead thanks to Ryan Howard's line drive home run into the seats in right field. Phillies have been struggling with runners in scoring position. Howard just took care of that. It's 2-1 Phillies as we move to the top of the 7th. Now for your Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. Well, Bud Norris had been rolling along through 6 innings, or 5 2/3, before Ryan Howard's 12th home run of the year gave the Phillies a 2-1 lead. Sean O'Sullivan pitched well today, 5 innings, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts. But the Phillies are into their bullpen, but they have a lead. Luis Garcia will take over for Jake Diekman, who pitched a scoreless 6th. And Garcia will face the bottom of the Orioles order. Caleb Joseph is up first. The numbers for Luis, a 3.90 earned run average. Joseph is grounded out and popped out. He hits this one softly to the right side. Utley goes sprinting out. He's under it. And with Dominic Brown on his heels, makes the catch, 1 away. And here is David Lowe. Well, the Phillies have the game, even though it's just a 1-0 lead. They have the game right where their strength is, which is potentially Giles in the 8th inning and Papelbon in the 9th, as long as they can get through the 7th here. And it's all thanks to Ryan Howard's 2-run home run. That's Darren O'Day, who's warming up in the pen. How does he throw? Well, just like that. Over toward the left side. That'll sneak through the hole. Base hit for Lowe. So a 1-out single that brings Jimmy Paredes to the plate. These lucky fans are today's Citizens 7. They were each receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal. And that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank. So here's Jimmy Paredes, who we saw down in Baltimore in the 2 games. Did not play last night. Making an appearance here today. Outside, it's 1 ball and no strikes. So Bud Norris goes 6 innings, allows 5 hits and 2 earned runs, 2 walks and 2 strikeouts. Hit sharply to second. It should be 2. Utley's got it. Ooh, threw it wide of Galvis into left field. Going to third is low. He'll stop there. Batter reaches on a fielder's choice. It's an E4 to allow Lowe to go to third. Well, it's kind of what you talked about during your keys, Ben. It's just trying to play fundamentally sound baseball, and the Phillies just haven't done that.
Ball's hit sharply. Chase gets turned around here and just airmails this ball to second base. I mean, it's easy double play.
Actually looked like it rolled out of his glove and rolled into his hand, and he never had the grip.
Yep. But again, these are the fundamentals that make or break. It'll get you a W or an L at the end of the day. Fortunately, Luis Garcia is still 1 pitch away from getting out of the inning.
Ground ball pitcher too. So if he can get that same ground ball off the bat of Machado. He's got Lowe at third and Paredes at first. Good breaking ball. It's 0-1. Surprisingly below the average, major league average, getting runners home from third. The error by Chase Utley puts that runner at third with less than 2 outs. And what should have been an inning-ending double play, or at least gotten the lead runner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Machado hits it foul. That one's skipping through the seats like a rock on water.
Some guys excel in this spot. Man at third, less than 2 outs. Some guys fail miserably.
You would think this guy would excel. Now, he has 7 hits, but it's just lighter than you anticipate. 1-2 pitch. Got him. Nasty breaking ball by Luis Garcia. 2 outs here in the 7th inning.
We always thought they were 2 outs. I think would have made that try to skip off the mound there, but that is it. Very nice slider there. It's just a good spot. You know, you're not going to get hurt by that pitch in that location.
Well, now Travis Snyder, who has struck out 3 times today.
believe they were all on breaking balls. First at bat, I believe, was a changeup. Next two were breaking balls.
Yeah, O'Sullivan, who's known for fastball slider, threw his changeup effectively today and threw his curveball effectively.
Curveball was very good.
0-1. 0-2. All right, so you've thrown 2 sliders for strikes. You've got Machado on the slider. Do you have to throw a waste pitch here?
No.
Same thing?
Go for the jugular. Back foot that thing again.
Luis has got his signs. The runners lead off first and third. Swing and a miss. He got him. He went right for the jugular, right toward the back foot. And Travis Snider strikes out for the 4th time today. Back-to-back strikeouts for Luis Garcia, picking up Chase Utley here in the top of the 7th inning. Well, this is a nasty pitch from Luis Garcia, right where Carlos Ruiz wanted it. It's time to stretch here at Citizens Bank Park with the Phillies leading the Orioles 2-1. On to a 1-run lead as we start the bottom of the 7th inning. Refreshing, great tasting Blizzard spring water is the new buzz around the water cooler. WB Mason offers free same-day delivery of 5-gallon Blizzard spring water bottles with no minimums or hidden fees. Luis Garcia did a fantastic job getting the Phillies out of trouble in the top of the 7th inning. Boy, that slider was moving. This is a guy who throws 96, 97 miles an hour, but to drop that slider on the left-hander, Travis Snider, and even Machado, the right-hander. Here's Darren O'Day to take over for the Orioles.
Each slider was better than the one he threw before.
Darren O'Day's numbers 2-0, 1.08 ERA. You saw that fastball that he just threw, 78 miles an hour. He's not like Cishek. That's 79 right there. That's a slider. There's Kenny Giles, who throws 20 miles an hour harder than Darren O'Day. He gets Galvis by raising his eye level. 87 mile an hour fastball, one away. Well, Saturday night, the Phils and the Cardinals will face off, part of a 3-game series. Fans feeding families night will be on Saturday. It's all part of a Cardinals weekend. Sunday, 1:35, Chevrolet Father's Appreciation Day. A free 1960 Phillies caps to men 15 and older. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Kodiashi hooks one into right field. Snyder on the run, or I should say Parmalee, and he makes the catch. 2 outs.
They are similar in stature. And Snyder started in right field the first night in Baltimore.
Correct. Here's Ruiz, who's 1 for 2. Tough to lay off. I mean, he's got pinpoint accuracy with that slider.
It's bread and butter pitch, especially to a righty. Almost kind of start that thing behind a righty and bring it back. Kind of like your draw on a tee shot, Tom.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. 2 balls, 1 strike to Ruiz. Well, there it is again. Drive caught by O'Day, and that'll do it for the Phils here in the 7th inning. Well, he was in the right place, right time. His body was set up perfectly to grab that one right out of the air. Well, how about this, Ben? An Oriole fan on the dugout in between innings, showing off his Orioles orange. Well, the Fanatic was not going to have any of it. Not only that, but he also brought over his friends, Rob Ellis and Sarah Baker, from Breakfast on Broad, and they decided to use the silly string. That'll always spoil a plan. Speaking of Breakfast on Broad, tomorrow morning, wake up with Julie and Millie live from the beach in Avalon. Start your day with Bob at the Beach tomorrow morning from 6 until 8 on the Comcast Network. Look at that form by Rob Ellis.
Pride of Bonner.
Yep.
Take that. That'll teach you.
Take you hours to get that off. Well, as we start the top of the 8th inning, Chris Parmelee will lead it off against Kenny Giles, 2-1 with a 1.93 ERA. Jeff Francoeur comes on to play left field. So Francoeur's going to bat 9th, Giles 7th. Fly ball right center field. That's helpful. Swinging at the first pitch from Kenny Giles. And one quick out. Time for the Major League Notebook. Let's head over to Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Brought to you by St. Joseph's University. And the Cincinnati Reds walked it off last night in some dramatic fashion with 2 outs in the bottom of the 13th inning. Todd Frazier got a curveball, hit himself a grand slam. It was Frazier's second home run of the game, and they won that in the bottom of the 13th. And it was also the 6th win in 10 tries for the Cincinnati Reds. And we're digging deep in the notebook today, guys. But how about this stat from the folks at Elias? Yesterday, Wednesday, was only the second time in Major League history that where 15 games were played, and each of those games, the home team had been away the night before. To put that in perspective, there's always been over 2,500 chances for that to happen, and it's only ever happened 2 times in Major League Baseball history, and Wednesday was one of them. So how about that? That's in the Major League Notebook, guys.
It's all because of those 2-game series.
That's right.
Major League Baseball implemented.
I get it. It'll probably start happening a little bit more, but that scheduling quirk where everyone switches ballparks and comes back home, plays those 2 and 2. It happened. It happened on Wednesday.
Let's keep note of that, Murph. Let's keep an eye on that if that happens again.
I will definitely be keeping track.
There's a foul ball by Davis, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. How about Todd Frazier, since he struggled here at Citizens Bank Park that series? Man's been on fire.
He sure has.
The ball's 2 strikes to Davis in the dirt, and it's 1 and 2. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, beautiful day in Minnesota. Jason Hayward has accounted for the only run. It's 1-0 Cardinals. That game's at the top of the 8th inning, excuse me. Mike Pelfrey gave up the home run. That's a good sign that it's a beautiful day in Minnesota, because maybe it's coming our way.
Nice ballpark, Tom.
Very nice ballpark.
Yeah.
Great downtown. Underrated downtown. Two balls and 2 strikes to Chris Davis. 3 and 2. J.J. Hardy's on deck. Got him. Threw a slider, and Davis couldn't hold up. 10 strikeouts overall for Phillies pitching here this afternoon.
So this is what happens when you throw 99. You have to respect that 99. You see it in the zone, and then you know it's out of the zone.
Well, every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition 1-2-3, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. It's happened twice today. Once for Jake Diekman, once for Sean O'Sullivan. And Kenny Giles is hoping it happens again. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Last night was his best outing of the year, period.
I agree. I mean, the fact that he hit 99 was part of it, but it was electric. There's 97 that's hit right back through the middle. Second hit of the day for J.J. Hardy, so he's 2 for 4. And Ryan Flaherty is coming up. J.J. Hardy might have to feel like he's out of that slump that he was in, since he's hit in 11 straight, and a lot of those 11 games have been multi-hit games.
Well, it's such a. You think of a shortstop, automatically you think defense. Now, yes, you have to be steady up the middle, but if you get offensive production out of your center guys, catcher, center field, shortstop, second base, I mean, that's just such an added bonus.
Well, among the leaders in home runs for shortstop since the 2010 season. So that tells you about the added bonus that he had brought. One ball, no strikes. And now 2-0. Giles a little low with that pitch. Over to first, diving stop. Ryan Howard pops to his feet. Inning over. 3 unassisted, no runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left for the Orioles. We played 7.5. Bullpen has risen to the occasion here today. We'll move to the bottom of the 8th. Of the game, Phillies bullpen has really been outstanding today. How about Diekman in his return? Diekman was able to work a 1-2-3 6th inning. This was the final out. Good play by Ryan Howard. Then Garcia, a little bit of trouble because of an error by Chase Utley, but then gets a slider to Machado and a slider to Snyder to wrap up the 7th inning. And then Kenny Giles. Giles gets Chris Davis on a 3-2 pitch. That was the 11th strikeout for the Phillies pitching staff today. And the final out of the 8th inning was Ryan Howard, this diving stop on a ball hit by Ryan Flaherty. And those are our defensive plays of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. So now we move to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Phillies lead it by 1. Brad Brock will be the new pitcher for the Orioles. Brock out of Monmouth University in New Jersey. And he will face Frank Core for the first time, who came in as part of a double switch. So Darren O'Day goes an inning scoreless. And now Brock. And the first pitch, a strike, according to Gary Cederstrom. Papelbon is warming up in the bullpen for the Phils. Way outside, 1-1. There's Pap. Outside, 2-1. 96 on that pitch. The cross-firing Brad Brock. I don't know about you, if this is a windup, Ben, that drives a hitter crazy, the way he crossfires like that.
Well, it just is very uncomfortable if you're a right-handed hitter.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Francoeur. He's off 3-2. Trying to sweep that slider to the outside part of the plate. Revere waits on deck. Popped him up. Davis, the first baseman, into foul territory. And one gone. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. By Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. And Revere 2 hits today. His infield hit started the rally in the 6th that resulted in the Phils taking the lead on the home run by Ryan Howard. Just a bit outside on that first one.
This is where, as a lefty, if you have a guy that does crossfire like this, that would cross his body, sometimes as a lefty you have a tendency to dive with him and look for that outside pitch. And the guys that are able to throw in on lefties with that crossfire, they're the ones you're going to have trouble with, because, again, you're going to be out there. If they can throw that back across your body, you're going to jam yourself.
Off the hands.
Kind of like that?
Yeah, guess so.
Right on cue. And watch this fastball. You want to get out there. And that ball comes in, you just end up jamming yourself. Because in your mind, you're thinking, if he's throwing that far across his body, there's no way he can pull the ball back across the plate.
Over to shortstop, Hardy to his left. And he throws Revere out for the second out. W.B. Mason is usually given out a great giveaway here at Citizens Bank Park. It's the collectible Phillies truck. It's here again for 2015. It'll be given out to fans 14 and under on Saturday, June 27th. Now that's a 3:05 start. This Saturday is a 7:05 start, but the 27th is a 3:05 start. Tickets can be purchased for all 3 games against the Nationals by going to Phillies.com. Chase Utley is 0 for 3 today.
It seemingly always happens when you're hitting 182. It's 0-2 every AB.
Oh man, he was not set on that. He threw him a changeup, and Utley is struck out. And the Phillies go down in order for the 2nd straight inning. So we'll leave it for the top of the 9th inning. Jonathan Papelbon trying to end this 9-game losing streak.
The Orioles, Jonathan Papelbon in to try and save this one. And when this one is all over, the Orioles will head out of town, and in come the St. Louis Cardinals for a weekend set against the Phillies. There's your pitching matchup. The left-hander Tyler Lyons will oppose Philippe Almont. Now that we got the news that Cole Hamels will be out tomorrow night. On Saturday at 7:05, it's John Lackey versus Aaron Harang. And then on Sunday, the Cardinals will bring Michael Wacha to the ballpark. Still no word yet who will be starting that game for the Phillies. Certainly let you know as soon as we know. That game is at 1:35. Guys?
All right, Murph, thank you very much. Be interested to see what Philippe Almont is able to bring to the table tomorrow. You saw his ERA in the big leagues. He had been much better. Still walking guys, but had been much better down in AAA as a starting pitcher. Here's Jonathan Papelbon trying to pick up his 13th save of the season. Save opportunities have been tough to come by for Jonathan Papelbon. That's because victories have been tough to come by for the Phils.
It's just his second save situation since the 20th of May.
Incredible. Nolan Reimold will pinch hit, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Reimold hitting .238. 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. You see his career numbers as a pinch hitter. This guy was tearing it up down in the AAA. The ball's at 2 strikes. Papelbon 1 earned run allowed in his last 14 appearances, despite the lack of save opportunities. He's averaging nearly 2 strikeouts more per 9 innings than last season. His velocity is pretty much the same, but his control is way better. That one's popped up foul territory. Howard sprints over toward the warning track, makes the catch, 1 away.
And I think a lot has to do with his off-speed pitches. The command of the slider. The slider just seems like it has more break on it, more tilt. The splitter has been outstanding. Yeah, you'd like to see that velocity up a little bit more, but
I think at this point it is what it is, and he's able to get through it without worrying about it.
I agree.
Matt Wieters has come out of the on-deck circle. David Lowe is batting now. Boy, Adam Jones must really be banged up. We haven't seen him in either game here in Philadelphia.
3 straight.
We thought we knew he wasn't playing Tuesday because of the soreness. We thought he'd play Wednesday. Chopper to first. Ryan Howard backs up on it. Flips to Papelbon covering, 2 outs. So now Wieters 5 pitches 2 away here in the top of the 9th inning. Reminder after the ball game, Phillies post game live. We'll get you set for not only this weekend series against the Cardinals, but a complete recap of today's ball game. Tommy Green is standing by to break this baby down. Matt Wieters pinch hitting here. And the first pitch to him. Swing and a miss. Boy, healthy cut, 0-1. He was trying to tie this ball game up. No balls and 2 strikes with 2 men down. Top of the 9th inning, and the pitch from Papelbon. Line drive down the left field line. It is a foul ball.
I don't care how many times you've done it. It could never get old hat having all these people standing on their feet as you're trying to close out a ball game. What an adrenaline rush.
I would agree with that.
That one probably could be a little bit better.
Just didn't tail enough.
He tried to climb the ladder on that one.
So no balls and 2 strikes to Wieters for the second time with 2 men down. Swing and a miss. He got him. He tied him up with 94 in the inside part of the plate. And the Phillies' 9-game losing streak is over. They win it today by a final score of 2-1 as Jonathan Papelbon closes the door here in the top of the 9th inning. Well, Jonathan Papelbon did not throw a pitch out of the strike zone here this afternoon. 9 pitches, 9 strikes. He is part of the Chevrolet Players of the Game, the Phillies bullpen. 4 innings, 4 strikeouts here this afternoon. Diekman, Garcia, Giles, and Papelbon. Well, the reason they had the lead, there wasn't a whole lot of offense here tonight, or today I should say. Phillies down 1-0, and Ryan Howard provided the W.B. Mason delivery of the game.
And it's a fastball. They try and elevate. See the catcher's target, supposed to be up, ends up being down in Ryan's nitro zone, and he rifles one out to right field to give the Phillies a 2-1 lead. And the Phillies hold on to that 2-1 lead. And that is your W.B. Mason delivery of the game.
And with that, he gets a chance to sit down, or really stand up in this case, and chat with Murph. Murph, take it away.
Yeah, we'll stand up and do this. 12th home run, the 30th RBI of the season for you, and it turned out to be a big one to help get this team a much-needed win. It looked like he left that up in your zone, and you turned on that one pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of left me a fastball kind of middle in, and I was able to catch up to it and turn on it.
You know, it was a 2-out hit, which is important to note, and also, you know, Luis Garcia able to come in and pick up Chase after the misplay in that inning. Those are the little things that weren't happening during that streak of games they were losing. Just talk about getting that big 2-out hit and you know, able to turn it into a win.
I mean, it was huge. I mean, it's, you know, we've been in a rough patch and haven't had a lot of things go our way. And just to kind of have that, hopefully that breaks the mold and helps put us on the right track.
You know, obviously no one likes losing, but most importantly, you guys that are putting yourself on the line each and every night certainly do not like losing. When you're going through a stretch like that, you're one of the leaders of this team. What are you guys doing inside that clubhouse to keep the heads up?
I mean, you just continue to try to come in with a positive attitude and just go out and compete. And then, you know, it's a crazy game, and just hope you can get some bounces and things that go your way, and just try to execute and do what you need to do to try to win the games. And you know, like I said today, you know, Louis picking up Chase on that, you know, striking out the next 2 guys, and you know, just help preserve the game for us.
And maybe something to build on. Ryan, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Good win, guys. Back upstairs.
All right, Murph, thank you very much. Ryan Howard's 2-run home run gives the Phils enough of a cushion, a light one. Enough of a cushion to walk away with the victory. Jonathan Papelbon closed the door in the 9th inning, his 13th save of the season. Phillies win it 2-1. We'll be back to Philadelphia to wrap it up right after this.